the panel and the moderator for this evening. The moderator for this evening is Issa Nakazawa. I sound like an MC. I don't know why I'm doing that. And we've got Dante Clark here. And where's Jules Retzlaff? And also Michael Evans Jr., otherwise known as Mike Evans.
Can we show so much love to Issa Omi? And I don't know where Crystal is. And let's give some love to these amazing filmmakers. Oh my God. I'm a little starstruck, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm Issa. Omi, were you gonna introduce me? I can just introduce myself. Yeah, okay. Intros are a little weird. Before I introduce myself, want to say a big thank you to SF Urban Film Fest, to all of you. And to all of you in the audience, thank you so much. You could be anywhere. Might not be as true during COVID, but you could be in your house and you're here. So thank you so much. Just show some love to yourself and to your neighbors. We can do a little, trying to get your energy going. I'm gonna be brief because it's really about all of you. I'm Issa Nakazawa. I currently work at Bayvac Media, which is right here in 9th Street. Shout out 9th Street. And I'm the daughter of an architect. So that's kind of my intersection of urban planning and filmmaking. And I feel like the daughter of an architect thing is like a loose affinity, but I can't really see Mike. But I think I've spent my whole life thinking about space and creative practice. And so I definitely resonated with everything tonight. And I have a long relationship with Dante and Jules through my former employer at You Speaks. Does anyone know You Speaks? It's a spoken word and youth education organization here in the Bay, and so we kind of all are family. And I actually just saw Mike do a little set and emceeing at the chapel 2 days ago, so it really feels like family. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the panelists. We're gonna have like 45 minutes of conversation, and then I'm gonna kick it to y'all. So if you have questions, keep them in your mind, maybe write them down, but focus on them. Don't focus on your phone. And then we're gonna have a special performance at the end. Does that sound good? Yeah. Oh, you're a good audience. Feeling it. Okay, I don't know if y'all wanna like wave or when I'm doing your little intros, but you know, it could be cute. So I'm gonna start with Dante and then work my way down. Okay. Dante Clark, a native of Richmond, California, who reigns as one of the most prolific writers and voices, true, out of the Bay Area arts community. Dante is an actor, stage and film director, scriptwriter, lyricist, public defense attorney, consultant, whose work as an artist and community member is dedicated to shifting the narratives of Black Aboriginal people's history, while challenging educators and courtroom officials to abolish all racist policies. Let's show love to Dante. I'm not gonna lie, Mike, your bio's long, so I'm gonna get through it. It's like, this is an accomplished young man. All right, Mike Evans Jr. is a 27-year-old stand-up comedian and MC from the city. He performs at Cobb's, Punchline, Tommy T's, known around the Bay as an artist, activist, comedian, as he has been featured on multiple music albums, hosts concerts, and more community fundraisers than most comics at his age. I love that. That's a flex. I need that in my bio. Mike's personal sense of humor leans more towards crude political and relationship humor. I love that. But he has the strong ability to adapt to any situation, as he's also performed for political campaigns, churches, retirement homes, colleges, and high schools. Damn.
I know.
Wait, we're not done? We're not done. That's the thing. The crazy thing is we're not done.
Didn't know something read.
Mike was also involved in the creation of the film The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Give it up. As a creative consultant, the film won the highest awards in its category at Sundance in 2019 and continues to be nominated for Independent Film Awards. Mike doesn't have any recent videos of his comedy, but is currently working on his first comedy special, set to come out in 2022. Shout out, Mike. Let's give Mike some love. You need to write my bio. All right, Jules. Jules, otherwise known as Cereal for the Kids, is a born and raised San Francisco community organizer and experimental multimedia maker. Their work utilizes a mixture of new and found media, photography, and animation, often using nonlinear storytelling to reflect on community, temporality, and the fluidity of memory. Show Jules some love. Okay, wow. We're done with the housekeeping. We're going to dive in. So my first question, you know me, I'm like heady, so I had to start kind of simple. But I'm curious, one of the through lines with all of you is the multimedia maker piece. And so, Mike, you're a comedian, poetry, spoken word, community organizing is one as well. And so I'm curious, A, why film? Like, what about this medium allows and enables something distinct and different from your other mediums? And why these films in particular? So Dante, I'm just gonna make you go first. Oh, no, you have a mic. Let's test it out.
Check. Yeah. We good? So ask that question again.
So why film?
Why film?
And then why this film?
Why film? I feel like as a spoken word artist, my expertise is just the language. It's just understanding one. And language is kind of like a complicated situation, right? Because English is not my native tongue. So it's like having the ability to learn how this language works and also the language of how we speak it, and to take that experience and translate it in a way that comes through in word. I feel like you gotta live it to really experience it. Like if I came and spoke exactly how Big Mama or my grandpa and them spoke, some things may come off as funny, but certain things may come off as like, when you really live it and you know why he's speaking the way he speaks, it's a different experience. And I feel like film allows the opportunity for an audience who've never experienced it to actually see the textures and the layers and the walk and the music, and you know what I'm saying? You could take this poem and really visualize it in a way that's like, wow, I'm there. The words may take you there, but to actually see it is a totally different experience. And I feel like this film, Blackness is Everything, was like in word and visual, showed you like the beauty in being raised here in the Bay Area, and what that experience of being black, from the old to the young kid with the suit on to the OG standing on the corner sitting on the lack. And it's just like both of those exist in the same fabric, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, yeah, blackness is everything. So, yeah.
Absolutely, Dante. Mike and Jules.
That was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Why film? Similar to what you said, it's just kind of like, as far as like taking in information or like trying to tell somebody that you're going through a problem in general, like, yo, hear me out, this is what I'm saying, either through spoken word, even through comedy. Like, I can describe a situation very well, but there's something about seeing it firsthand, or just seeing, I mean, even with, unfortunately, you know, with shit that goes bad in the world, right? We hear these stories from people that we're not in the same demographic as, and then we're like, oh, it's okay, I feel it, see where you're coming from, but it takes videos for people to really like see and feel like, holy shit, this is a problem, or holy shit, this is serious. And so film, it's for me, it's the biggest teacher. I hope other people, books really do it, you know, but like working with kids now, like, you know, I could tell them about history, but then showing them a video about history, I could just tell that they take information differently. So film. And why this film? Why Rent Check Preview, which is a preview for a show that me and Jules are creating, and Jake and Annie, who are also back there. Yes. But why this one? I wanted to have a conversation about police brutality that wasn't black dude, white cop. I wanted black cop, black dude, to have that conversation, because that exists in the world, but it's never put on screen. And so I want to do that, and then also like insert my own insecurities of wanting to be an artist, and how every day I'm kind of fighting, like, do I really want to do, like, no, sorry, do I really want to do this? I want to do this, but how long can I keep it up before, you know, the 9 to 5 takes me down, and it's like, yep, come on in here, work here where you don't want to work, because you need a pension, you need a retirement plan, you need something that's realistic and sustainable, but like art should be that, because I love it that much, so, yeah.
Yeah, I know, everyone's like, should I clap? You can clap.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, Jules.
Yeah, I think both of you said it so well, and I think just to build off of it, I think that film is multidisciplinary, right? It incorporates so many aspects of art, but also allows for moments of extreme clarity on political issues that we all want to talk about, or emotional moments that are hard to define just in one discipline. But when you're able to, put that all into a film, I think it can hit very differently. And I think for Dedicated, inadvertently, for me, it's a way to speak about a political moment in San Francisco, where we're actively in the process of seeing the majority of, not a majority, well, but the majority of our community being displaced, but also how they're still here, we're still here, and we have things to say and unique experiences. And I think that film and using multiple kinds of media are a way for communities to document their perspectives from their perspectives. And I think that oftentimes media is used for other folks to document communities and not it coming from communities. And I think for Dedicated, that was really important, was like having the ability for, Mike as the comedian to speak, but also these organizers and filmmakers, and even, the film itself is a visual album for Baghead, and they're a producer, and so there's not inherently words in what they do, but there is meaning in why they do it and where they're from, and so having like a video to back it up just helps assert what Satchel wants to say, what Baghead wants to say to and for community and with community. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I think just reflecting back, like what y'all said, I think as a viewer, it felt like there was such a thread and through line between the films in that sense. Like obviously filmmaking is definitely interdisciplinary as a process, but also all three of you bring a certain lens that was very felt as in the experience of watching it, from the way that music wasn't like ornamental, or the way that the poem wasn't just like a score for the visual. Like everything was very much in conversation with each other in this like very deep textured way. So I want to reflect that back, because I felt like y'all are kind of challenging this like narrative, not challenging, but like reconstituting this like filmmaking method that I think has we need this, the archival, the blending, like not asking for permission to just kind of create what we want to say, how we want to say it, and not kind of being overly loyal to these kind of old school forms. But I also want to pick up on something a lot of you said, which was this line that was kind of looped, speaking of musicality in your film, Dedicated to, which was, I come home but there ain't no home. And I felt like that was a very deep and resonant line. I lived in the city for like a decade, and sometimes when I'm walking around, it's like, oh, right, this. But there's also like the ghosts that are walking among us, like the living ones and the dead and the ones that have passed on. Like, how can you speak to each of that in your work? Like, how do you make art, and how do you live in these cities where the home is there and there's parts of home that aren't there? Whether that's like literally ancestrally they're gone, or like, I don't know, that line I think spoke to this kind of intersection of why we're here today. Like, what is this kind of meeting space between our art and these cities that we're trying to survive in?
Well, first I want to thank Nicole Rivera, who's the poet who wrote that line, really prolific poet and powerful organizer as well. And I think, building on what Nicole is saying in the film, I think there's something that frustrates me a lot is when folks talk about San Francisco, it's like it's centering the past as if the past isn't here with us, right? Like that, kind of speaking to what you're saying is that these ghosts are here, but also that when we talk about those ghosts, I think oftentimes people create ghosts when those communities are still here, and that there are, those iconic, moments of San Francisco that we talk about are still there. They're just, they're overtaken by tech, by gentrification, and yes, a lot of folks have moved out of the city, but the legacies that they left behind are still thriving and trying to survive. And I think everyone in Dedicated, uniquely represents that in different ways. I think, again, media can serve as a place to shine light on what is often in darkness, and is secluded to communities that want to fence themselves off from the world, because that's a survival tactic, right? To not be taken advantage of, but also it's a tool of power too, to assert that I'm not a ghost, I am alive and well, and also a demand of that I deserve to be here and be part of the conversation. You're just acting as if I'm not, as a way to as to say, well, I might as well, do this bullshit, ultimately, because you're not here anymore. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. Question one more time. I understand the
Well,
gist.
actually,
of it,
there's a line. There's a
Yeah.
line in your, and then Dante, we're all eye contacting this. Which is, I think all of us are kind of locked in, low-key. We're Mike, there's a line where your brother says or no, you say to your big brother in the whatever, I don't know if that's whatever, in the film, in the thingy thing.
The thing?
You're that's not what it's about. And I immediately went to my phone. I was like, what is it about? I think I know, but it's kind of similar to this conversation where it's it's not just about making money. It's not just about, so I know that's a big question, but what would you say it is about then?
In a worldview, it's about telling the truth, right? Art in general, I feel like the best art is the shit that makes you relate to it. But I guess in a selfish way, what it is about for me specifically, for me, it's about being able to tell my kids that they can do shit one day. I don't have kids right now, but when I do have kids, I don't want them to grow up and see their dad be another person that didn't really go for the dream, somebody who settled for something that didn't want to do. And so that's what it's all about for me, is that I don't know where this is gonna take me, but at the end of the day, it's I want to be able to tell my kids hey, your dad really tried for his dreams, so that's.
What's up with everyone thinking you have kids? This is a thing.
No, I just, I feel like I started off with that. Everyone was like, oh, your kid's probably adorable. No, they don't,
Mike,
they
have
don't
kids.
exist.
Mike creates their own legends. That's
it. But,
Wait,
but yeah, that's what it's all about for me. It's just showing myself first that I can do the things that I want to do, and then showing people next to me that they can do. I look up to Jules, I look up to you, I just met you, right? But it's just seeing people do cool shit, it makes you want to do cool shit. So just keep being yourself and do what you want to do. That's what I would have said to my brother in the film. Yeah.
I love that. Let's all. Popping is so weird, but it feels good, right? Dante, do you want to? I have a question for you too, specifically, but if you want to.
A thought came to my mind. I don't remember exactly how you structured the question, but when you was talking about ghosts in the city and coming back to the city or whatever. I'm from Richmond, California, and it's a very small city, and we're all really related. And it's 3 different parts to Richmond. It's North Richmond, Central Richmond, South Richmond, Parchester Village. And it's at a time it was 50%, 46% black, something like that. So just seeing what it was like when I was younger and feeling I can go anywhere in the world seemed really big. And when I became a teenager, it was nope, you can't go over there, can't go over there, can't go over there. You die over there. Actually, you can die right here, but they killing over there too. And so it's just having this infatuation with death at a young age, from 12 to 15, feeling 18 is a stretch. I don't know if I'm gonna get there. So we are on this race of trying to beat time. And those who leave from you, you come from a place where you could be 10 deep and it's only 3 of y'all left. So it's this idea of ghosts is always around, because we standing at this corner where such and such and such and such and such and such got killed. So whatever we do, we have to do in honor of this because it ain't too many places where we can go. So where we are, before it was an idea of gentrification, it was just, man, people die out here and go to jail. And then now we get moved out. So it's kind of like, me as an artist is like, Bob Marley had this line, I can't remember the full lyric, but he said something about, you know, kill them before they grow. And it's just thinking about like how we have always been under like, under extermination, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta document like, you know what I'm saying, I'm here. I noticed like watching Blackness is everything, cause I don't really be watching like certain stuff. When I put it out, it's like, it's done and I'll move on, but I'm watching it and I'm looking at it. A part that stuck out to me was when the brother was skateboarding. Yeah. And it was slow motion. But this time I was just looking at the environment and I was just like, the cracks in the ground. And I was like, man, that's cool. You know, crack, black community, and he's just floating above it. And that's what I got from that today. So just like that little element of, even if I didn't write that as a poet, when it's captured in film, it still connects. Like this black man in the heart of West Oakland, Black Panther Party and political, et cetera, crack epidemic, murder capital, whatever, and he's just floating above that and this idea of space in the air, and he just, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like to document what was, because we have been under extinction for so long, but we still here. So it's important to kind of like capture both the ghosts and those who are like moving towards the future. You know what I'm saying? Now, what was your question?
I don't remember it. My questions are always like, what is the question? You can blame Faye. You can blame, we can do a feedback form at the end. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think like all of the work that, I mean, definitely in this film, but even your poetry, I feel like there's always this doubling of like remembrance and like a haunting, but not just like a, you know, not like a haunting in like any kind of like cartoonish sense, just like we speak for and the ghosts are speaking. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the film, whether it was the slow motion or the treatment or the music, like music and film are like that space where language can't go, right? But they speak for us and they speak with us. And I feel like a lot of the things you create have that energy, like carry that kind of spiritual, if I can say that. Yeah. I've gone really spiritual lately. Yeah. Trying it out. I'm all. Yeah. I have a question though about, it's kind of related to that, which is a lot of my own personal issues, I think, with representation are specifically with like filmmakers of color, is this notion of like, a lot of films I see, it feels like we're pleading for our humanity. Like it feels like films are like, and I deserve, you know? And none of these are like that, right? Like there's no register of like a plea of like, see me as human, like I need your gaze. But I am curious, like who's looking, especially in your film, that was my question, is like when they're kind of looking back, like was there a someone on the other lens in the intention of it, or was it just like there's something powerful and transformative as just me in the film looking? Because that could be powerful, just having folks come through and look at a camera. Yeah. But like for all of you, like who is looking at you?
When you say who is looking, as far as like when I'm looking into the camera, who am I imagining is looking back? Yeah. Man, man.
Don't say camera.
I say it's interesting because like me, I don't really like cameras. Neither do I. I don't mind cameras being on me, but I don't like, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know who I'm talking to on the other side. So when you ask that question, for me, it's always kind of like, I feel like we just, well, for me, I'm gonna start off with me. I look at it like, I think all of those ghosts, if you will, or those spirits, that's kind of like, that's here, but it's not physically here. And then I guess sometimes I think of them first, because that's who I do it for, and then I think of those who are surprised that I'm still here, and it's kind of like I see you. You know what I mean? Because it's something powerful about like when you look at a photo, like right. I don't know if y'all know Tupac and nothing like that, but like growing up, you know what I'm saying? It was that one poster that was just on the wall, and it just felt like he was just staring directly at you no matter where you went in the room, and it just felt like powerful, like I see you. You know what I mean? And as a kid, I just felt like, man, he see me. You know what I mean? And so it's like when you looking into the lens, it's like y'all whoever tried to hurt me, I see you. Like, you know what I mean? And as the camera moving, it's like I'm here though, and I can imagine everybody who was staring had their own reasons. Like my favorite is Auntie who was standing in the yard by the gate, and it was just kind of like a casual, like she just came out like, how y'all doing? Like it just felt like one of those, you feel me? And everybody had their reasons, but I think for the most part, the feeling is like, yeah, we still here.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's powerful.
Nah, we here. You know what I mean? Chilling. Yeah.
That's very powerful. What about for y'all? I'll reiterate the question. Everyone's you got kids? No, I'm just kidding. You figured that out? You got 5 minutes? Who's staring for rent check? Like, who's the audience?
Originally I wrote it just for like, I guess specifically for people living in the United States, because I feel like if you're born and raised here, you're, you know, miseducated, confused, you've gone through very specific scenarios, and I feel like I know police brutality is something that happens across the world, but I was thinking of like specifically American police brutality when I was writing that, or just like, yeah, just being a black boy in America and not really always looking for something to relate to, and I think that's what was in mind. But now, I mean, obviously I want everybody across the world, obviously it's not cut off for anybody, and in a strange way, people on both sides of that argument have said that they liked that video a lot, which is a trip because you know what side I'm on. But it's something that it's like the very first video I ever put out. It's something that like I wrote, and so I was very just like taken back by who liked it more or like who related to it. But to answer your question, yes, everybody is who it's for. Yeah.
Nice and specific. I'm just kidding. That's tight.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Jules, who's it for? We know who it's dedicated to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I think it was made like it's this love letter, right, to folks from the city, and specifically those who are fighting for it. And I think that like what was important was like when we had which is really beautiful, when the video first came out, we had this kind of like block party in the TL that was like an art show, and it was just like, you know, a couple hundred folks from SF, like all our friends who we grew up with. Mike was also hosting that, and it was, you know, like it was for my classmates, right? Like it was for the, you know, uncles and aunties and like someone's grandpa, and I feel like that succeeded. Like I feel like what I'm really proud about for Dedicated is that whenever we show it to folks from SF, it's like I feel like folks resonate with it, and or I just like resonate with what the response is, right? And that it becomes a conversation. And I think that there's also folks, like I think a lot of people, wherever you're from, can relate to it in different ways, but like it's for people from SF, and like at the end of the day, and it's to me that's important. Like it's not for anyone else, but like our conversation, and then from that, you know, there's a larger conversation to be had, but that there's not enough, to me, pieces from or films from SF for folks from SF. So that's really the audience. Yeah.
I love that. And yeah. I feel like just thank you for giving. I feel like I struggle with, you know, sometimes you like need permission to make something just for like 50 people or like just for yourself, and I feel like there's such a burden sometimes of being like, this needs to be for like, you know, I don't know, like it just needs to be super generic. And I think just giving all of us tonight permission to be like, this is for the city, this is for like my 10 friends, and that does not mean it won't resonate with everybody, right?
Yeah.
But I think just giving ourselves permission to just like create from the particular, right? And then, man, that stuff resonates because it's so specific to your relationship to, you know, Satchel or to Mike. Clearly, y'all are very collaborative with each other.
Yeah.
I'm so stressed because we only have 10 minutes. I have so many questions, so I'm taking my two. We're gonna end with that question. Okay, cool. So, do we have any Ocean Vuong fans? Okay. That's a couple. You should look that person up. Ocean Vuong is a Vietnamese American poet and author, and I saw them speak a couple years ago, and they had this. We talked a little bit this on the phone. Mike, you weren't there, but no, I'm just kidding. But they said this thing that really resonated for me, and I don't know if it'll resonate for you. But they said that they don't actually come to their art making or their art practice to reconcile anything. That like they're not trying to have like this catharsis or to tie a bow up to these big life questions about their relationship to their mother or about grief. Like they don't go to the page and say, by the end of this poem, I'm gonna have figured grief out. And they said kind of it with like a frustrated voice because they get a lot of questions around like, so
What's
tell
the answer?
us.
Yeah.
An Asian American experience, what's it about, you know? And so I'm curious, what questions does your work ask of you? What questions do you ask of your work? What questions does your work ask of us? Like, what are the questions that you're not necessarily trying to reconcile, but you're struggling with? You're like in conversation with those questions. You're living those questions. You know, like, what are those questions for you? And whoever can go.
I think with this specific video, it's me kind of challenging the idea of like what it is to be a black man in America, right? Because it's like, you know, people have the assumption that like, oh, there would never be a black cop, but obviously you see black cops walk down the street, right? And so for that, and I put in a lot of myself of like why I want to be an artist as well. And so with the series that I'm making with Jules, it's a lot of just like me actually questioning who I am. I think being born and raised in the United States, it's like forever I've been told who I am, I've been told who I should be, and so the whole show is literally trying to find who I am. And so I think my art is continuing to just be that, me just figuring out who I am. Even though I'm 27, it's like it's a question that I don't know. I'm looking forward to knowing the answer. I am, but that's it for me.
That's beautiful. I'm like, spoiler, I'm 35. I'm like, just figure. I have no.
Sure.
The great undoing. Jules, Dante, what questions are you asking? Are you living?
I think for me, like, when I feel most fulfilled by the work I do, the questions are in regards to power and like community, and like what, like the purpose of media, like why are we making this thing, and that it's important to tie it to like a collective conversation, that being one around like community that's still here, or working through like emotional like experiences that, like you're saying, like are open-ended, like but within like the poetics that you can access within cinema, we can feel something together. A friend of mine, Saida Edwards, who's a fantastic filmmaker, and I have been talking a lot about the object, which is like, I would like, in one realm of it is like what, like the pure emotion, right? Like things that we can't put words to, but we feel physically. And I think for me, that's a goal, is like wanting to question power and how media itself is either inflicting, you know, a vision onto an audience, or uplifting, empowering the audience to think for themselves, but that ultimately that we have a visceral reaction to what we're experiencing to mobilize us into, you know, this version of reality, to do something about our conditions. I think that's what I want to be able to access with the films I make and also work with, and do in multiple disciplines too. So yeah.
I love that. Let's major shout out.
I think my question is always like, where do you go from here?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, once you dive back into history, talk about yesterday, pyramids, all of that stuff, it's like, okay, so now what? Where do you go from here? Because especially coming from my elders, you know, they always like, you know, man, it's up to your generation. It's up to y'all. And I'll be
Man,
like, if y'all ain't figured it out by now, how I'm supposed to figure it out? So I'd be like, man, where do you go from here? After I say all of this, like, now what? What do you do? What does that look like? You know what I mean? We always on a journey to, this ain't it. This is comfortable for some, but most part, this ain't it. But it's like, all right, now what? And I think at least me, when I talk to some of the elders, we have to be solution based. They be like, y'all talk about the problem, but what solution do you have? We had free breakfast, we had this, we had that, what y'all doing? And it's like, all right, so, but then I come to, okay, I can do that, but history teaches me that, so I'm always thinking like, I can do what was done, but we still here, so where do we go from? So I'm always grappling with that. Sometimes that makes the writing process difficult, because like, I want to just write, but it's like, what is the solutions?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta find solutions to put in here. If not, then people gonna be like, where do we go from here? So I'm always kind of like wrestling with that.
I think you're doing it. I think you're doing the
Yeah.
work. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is maybe not this. No, this is part of it, but I think that the process of the filmmaking of the whole bio that I read of yours is like all of y'all, like it's connecting all of these parts and living that. And like that's why I asked that question, because I always feel like living the question is the work. You know, and if you're walking around with like a prescribed solution, which comes from like sometimes a well-meaning place, but then there's no room, like you're saying, for community, or that word is so big, but like for other people that are in your life to kind of challenge you and change it with you.
Yeah.
And I feel like the scariest thing right now is we're being super encouraged to be more and more isolated. And I feel like all of your process brings all of us in to a conversation. And I invite all of us to take, you know, a question or something that affected us tonight and ask it, you know, to ourselves, to someone else, to our art, because that's what the work is, you know, like we're not going to get to solutions, like reliving history exactly like a manuscript, or like, you know what I'm saying, like a playbook, because then that's not challenging us to think creatively and to think critically and to respond to all of the different conditions. This is me like trying to weave it all. I have one more question, but are we like, we're at time? I'm looking at you, Crystal. Can I ask one more, or should we go to audience? We should go to them. We should go to y'all. Y'all better have some juicy questions. No, I'm just kidding. So can we turn a light on, or maybe like change let's show them some love for all. Maybe just raise your hand and use your theater voice. Are there any questions? Yes, right here.
Hi, my name is Bobby. I'm a volunteer for the Film Fest. So I think, I really want to follow up, with the last question that you guys were talking, particularly Dante was talking about, where do we go from here? Because, the theme of this year's kind of Film Fest is, urban future, right? We're talking about future. And I really want to kind of just push in a little bit more and to hear, the other two, your kind of perspectives on future, your vision, your community's vision. Because I think I resonated really powerful messages from your guys, like, we're here, I'm here, we're here, right? And where do you go from here? What's the future? Your vision, your community vision. And I want to hear.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Yeah, so the question, paraphrasing, is where do we go from here? The question is like, thank you, or bringing it back is like the one of the themes of tonight and this whole festival is really urban futures, right? So thinking about the future, thinking about where do we go from here. So kind of posing and deepening the question to y'all, like, what is the future that you see or that is being articulated in your films?
Well,
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
First faux pas of the night. Love it. Go. One of you could just talk.
Well, I was. There you go.
It's all good, seriously.
Well, I think from knowing Mike personally and also hearing your bio tonight, and excited to hear more about what you do in the future. But I think part of where do we go from here is like actively being part of our communities, and actually like, and it not just being, you know, you're scrolling on Facebook and liking something. It's like you are out there, you are talking to people, you're reading about what's going on, and you know, we're in a moment in history where it's like if you're not actively participating, even you don't have to have answers, but you're just asking questions with community, you're part of the problem. You are a bystander to the evils of the world. And I think from, you know, everyone on the stage, like everyone is part of a larger moving outside of the individual, right? Like it's not about my journey, it's about my community's journey, and then me asking what do other people in my life want from these places and these things, and what do we want collectively, what do we share, and then, you know, like learning from our past and not repeating mistakes, and trying new things, and I think we get so caught up in our capitalist, white supremacist, patriarchal systems that perpetuate individualism, that we don't take enough of a step back to recognize that, you know, there's larger things at play, and we have to ask those questions of each other. And so I think my answer is get involved, join an organization, and to not be passive in this moment in particular, but in all moments as well.
For the future, I mean, I fully agree with Jules. God damn, that was a great answer. I think as far as future for art and community spaces, it's like, again, like, you know, connect with people, join a movement, and then I guess for our art, trying to create a world we want to see, or like, I know we're tired of hearing like Jules has been teaching me a lot about like the film industry and how it works, and like about all the things that are shitty about it. And I think something we try to achieve a lot with Rinse Check series is like trying to reverse that, just like completely just start from scratch. And even coming out with this, like, I didn't go to film school, acting school. I didn't never written anything before, and so it's kind of like showing that we can do it without having to ask the same rich white dude for permission. I think is essentially what the future is doing it yourself and saying you love the people around you.
Just knowing that words have power. If you can take words and create a particular picture and then speak that into existence, you can change your reality, especially when it seeps into the hearts and the minds of other people. So I feel like me as an artist is to like, how can I find words that are centered around love and then show what love looks like. So I can speak it, I can write it, I can put it together in a film, package it, imagery, and put it out there as much as possible, so that way those who buy into it would eventually start to see themselves in the stories from the children on up, whether that's cartoons or kids that's talking about conflict resolution, you know what I mean? That shows, or to have a series of folks talking in a way that's very like encouraging and positive, who don't say but say yes and, you know what I mean? To having like rent check, you know what I mean? It's like, man, I needed this and that, yes, and we are going to figure out how to do da-da-da. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Just like having like different types of, I guess not solution based, but just like suggestions. This is what it could look like, so people can believe like, all right, it's possible to do it like that. You know what I mean? Let's try to go through the process of getting there, and whatever we discover in that journey is, you know what I mean, guided by this blueprint or this album or this film or this picture or whatever it is that I create, you know what I mean? So I look at future as far as that, like, how could I shape it with these words and put it out there as much as possible from all aspects of like art and creativity.
I think that's also why this festival is so important and so compelling to me, because artists and planners need to be in this conversation designing these futures together. Because like if we don't have the blueprint like emotionally and we don't have it psychically together, then you could have a building and then what, you know? Or you could have it's like the bread and roses concept. Like we need our basic needs met. We need those like all the security of a human being, of what it means to be alive, and we need roses, you know? We need the spirit, we need that part of it. So I feel like this event is really bringing us all in that one conversation, in that one effort, because that's the future. The future isn't one or the other, right? The future is all of it. And so I think that's why tonight is powerful, why these films are important, and why this whole festival is critical right now. Back to y'all. Back to you. Any more questions? Yes, right here.
Yeah, I have a question for Mike. Can you guys speak to how you view like the role of comedy in the building and community building? And like personally, it's like the rawest, scariest art form to me, and I deeply respect it. And it's like you have to face plant so many times, and I listen like it's my nightmare. And I like love hearing comics talk about like why this methodology, especially in like community-based spaces, because it's rare to have comics in those spaces. And so like, how do you think about that?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, face planting is definitely might happen tonight. So, but but it's you know, it's important to laugh through pain. You know, as cliche as that sounds, just like I mean, shit. There's the bucket story. But,
no,
I know.
but you can. But like, you know what? That's actually a good story.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So lucky to have best friends on the
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's just been there's just been moments where people have like gone from protest to protest and just like, I don't know. I just feel like we all need to laugh no matter what we're going through. I will stand behind it and have stood behind it while getting booed from the most woke, intelligent people I've ever met in my life. And I stay behind it because at the end we just all need to laugh. I don't know. I don't have anything deeper to say.
As someone who sees you,
yeah,
I think for what comedy, like as an observer and how I've seen Mike grow as an artist, is that the ironies that you can create within the art form are so important, because it allows for us to talk about the contradictions of our world on a really personal level and expand on them. And I think for this web series that we've been working on, Mike has written this like fantastic script where it's like he's ultimately talking about his personal experience, but it also like it is able to bring the personal to the political. And I think that in all the spaces that Mike has been able to do comedy, from, you know, the lines of doing your bucket joke, from doing you know, maybe inappropriate comedy at a protest, at a hunger strike. Yeah. But you know what? People needed to laugh, and all the hunger strikers were laughing, and no one else was. And you know what? That's important.
Yeah, I got it.
Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Kate was saying like the methodology, but I feel like there's such a methodology to like face planting or humiliation.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some politics to that for sure that we all need to embrace.
Yeah, it definitely helped me grow as a person and to realize that it is bigger than me to like make a crowd of people laugh, right? Like I go into stand up thinking like I want to make someone's day. Might not be my day. I'm gonna make someone's day, and so it's the best feeling ever. I fell in love with stand-up comedy about 8 years ago, and I could bomb tonight and I'll still do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Also, all of us have been teachers, and that's like a form of stand-up
Oh
comedy.
man. Yeah.
Every single day. Okay, we have time for one more question. Oh, this is hard. How do I do this? Who had their hand up? Okay. Yes, in the back. Oh, we can? We can have two. If you could force anyone dead or alive to watch your film, who would it be? I love that it's force.
Yeah.
High stakes! You are sitting here and watching this. So play with that. That's giving you a lot.
I think I don't. I mean, like, I think that's a great question, and I feel like I would never want to force someone to like watch my shit.
Who would you want to consensually see?
I think who I consensually would want to.
I got you.
Thank you for. I think like it's not even necessarily about the like film itself, but I would want it to be like for all the folks who've like been pushed out of SF in the Bay to be able to come together and watch it and watch other things like it, like, Blackness is Everything, like Rent Check, and have a conversation from that. I think that would be like, that's always what you want, right? When you make art is you want folks to watch it and talk about what you make, but also it be something bigger than that. And so I think for me, like, this particular like screening, like I want folks from the city, from the Bay to watch it and talk about, that future that we want to collectively imagine. And, I guess force them into it, sure.
Nice.
But that would be fun.
Yeah, I liked that you got that.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful answer. Either of y'all?
My grandfather, he was a cop and didn't have enough time to have as many conversations with him as I would have liked to. And he forced me to do a lot, so I would have forced him to watch it.
One for force.
Exactly.
One for force. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dante? You forcing or allowing, or what's?
Yeah.
Man, like, I really, like, in the context of this particular project,
Yeah.
I don't even know who, like, to say you have to. I guess I can answer that. Anybody who I don't know. I can't even
You
think.
have some thoughts.
Nah, it's like I really don't. Like I'm trying to think of like a specific name to like watch this, cause me, I'm like, if I force them to watch it, I want them to get something out of it, and I can't think of if anybody I would want people who identify as black people to watch it. I don't want to force that because a lot of us have a problem with being black, and I think trying to force anybody else to watch it would be another form of what you had mentioned earlier, kind of like our artists, like, hey, I'm here, see me. And that's why with this film, it's like, I can't think of anybody outside of who identify with the experience of black to force them to watch it and be like, hey, you black, you know what I'm saying? Because some of y'all be acting like y'all don't remember. Like, hey, you black, you know what I'm saying? So I'd say them. Yeah.
I mean, that was a beautiful answer, Dante.
Yeah. I had to really think about that. That was a good question.
Yeah, that was the first question that
That was a good
stumped. Yeah, y'all did good. You didn't get stumped. One last question from yeah.
Okay. So filmmaking industry is really messed up, but also it's very collaborative, and I feel like all of you are so collaborative. And I wonder what you would say, like there's a way that you've learned to work in film as an artist that you could bring or help other organizers, like what's the tactic about working collectively?
Identifying roles and having somebody that can give like very clear and animated direction. My experience with directing and working with directors, the ones I respond to put themselves in the position of the person who they are giving directions to, especially like the performers of the task that's in front of an audience. It's like being like kind of like going in a classroom. A skill of identifying, okay, who is the lead character in here? Who is the one I need to get them on board in their side characters to help with the ensemble who are just going to do what they're supposed to do, and everybody else, the administrators behind the scenes, I need those who don't want to talk but really good with passing out stuff. Is just identifying the lead character to get them be with okay with you are the star, but I need you to follow me. We have to work. And I feel like whoever that person is in the community, when you can connect with the big homie or the top funder and learn how to, all right, look, this is what I need you to do. I feel like that's a tactic that I've learned going into the classroom. It's like, all right, who the lead character? I'm gonna give them the stage, but make everybody feel that your role is just as important as getting this job or this task accomplished. No one is bigger or smaller because this person can't shine if we don't put the lights on. You know what I'm saying? So we all are needed. So that's like a tactic in organizing.
That was game. Mike or Joel?
Because I gotta ask you the questions again.
Well, I think, so something with Rent Check in particular that I'm really proud of my film collective that I'm part of, Surge, who Annie and Jill are also part of in the audience, who are producers for Rent Check series. I think our sets were, a lot of film sets are like, you have to have roles, right? Like we do have to have set roles, but also we need to be critical of the power dynamics that we assert into those roles, and like everyone has an important part to play and also has an important vision to share. And when we don't, and that for Rent Check, it was like so collaborative on set. Everyone had a moment of being a director. Everyone had a moment of thinking about like production design and like like lighting. And without that, it wouldn't be what it is right now, which one day you all will see. But also I think for like our film collective and the folks that we worked with, in front of the camera as well, I think we're all able to contribute and put, their love into something. And I think for organizing, it's like if you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not gonna make something important. You have to believe and put your love in and love the people around you. And I think that's what makes a good film set at its core, but also is a good, that's how you have good community.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Sorry. Good question. Hit the question one more time.
You be putting me through it. No, I'm just kidding. It is like, what's a tactic that is that has transference from filmmaking to organizing?
Oh shit. Be nice. Well, be nice to everybody, be respectful of everybody, because it's like, you never, just be nice to people just cause, right? But also, you never know who's gonna be in what position in a month or a year or 3 years from right now, right? So it's like, also like I wrote all of Rent Check series, right? Like the whole first season, but like for season 2 that we're still talking about, it's like, I would love more writers. It's one of those things where I had to, pretty much like in filming it, I had to shed it like a big part of my ego is just like, I wrote this, it has to be exactly how I see it, but it's like opening myself up to other people's visions, really specifically Jules' vision too on stuff, but also Jake, Miguel, Annie, like there's so many people on set to where they gave me exactly what I needed to hear, and it came out so much better that way. And like, even in stand-up comedy, right? Like I could think what I think is funny, but if you're not laughing, what the hell am I doing? And so it's just like, it's that into organizing is the same way. Everyone has to feel loved, everyone has to feel respected and valued, and we're all people, right? Trying to achieve the same thing. So why not listen to everybody, right? So.
I love that. All right, let's give them all a round of applause. We have like don't go anywhere. But also, Cereal for Kid, can we do the shout out for how to keep up with the work, like on the gram or anywhere, websites, really quick?
Yeah, Cereal for the Kids, cereal as in the food. FOR the Kids is my Instagram, and then JulesRetzlaff.com. Also, again, join an organization and get involved in movement work, and I'll probably see you there. So.
How can we keep up with Rent Check?
Rent Check Series on Instagram, all one word, Rent Check Series. My own personal Instagram is Everybody Loves Mike, love spelled L-O-V-E-Z. Thanks, Annie pointed it out just now. Yeah. Those are
Right.
2 places you can catch me.
Dante,
Yeah.
What we doing?
how do we stay in touch?
Oh, stay in touch. Phone number, email, or social media, Instagram. Don Black, Instagram, DONBLAK. One word, and yeah.
Amazing. And definitely, I invite everybody to say thank you or say some words to them and to all the organizers. But before we go, we're going to be blessed right now with a comedy set from our own Mike. If y'all remember him. So we're going to get off the stage.
Oh, shit.
Let's give it a proper for Mike again. Yeah. Make some noise.
All right, everybody. Let's go. Let me turn this microphone off. Oh, cool. Wow. Thank you. Can we turn down the lights just a little bit? I don't know if I want to look in everybody's face. This is the moment, Jules. This is the moment where people either run away from Rent Check Series or they're hooked in. No pressure at all. So obviously, COVID's a bad thing, right? Like, I'm happy that we don't have to wear a mask right now a little bit, right? Because I don't know. It's a weird way to start that. Here's how I feel. Okay, obviously COVID is a bad thing, but right now it's the best excuse to get out of anything you don't want to do. Like, pretty much anything. You don't want to go to work, just say you have COVID, right? You don't want to see your parents, say you have COVID, right? It works for anything in the world, right? Fuck. Okay. That's why I'm nervous, because I have COVID. That's the thing. No, but it oh man. I got this. I got y'all. I love you guys. Here's the thing. Love you all. Here's the thing is that I say a lot of inappropriate shit, which is fine normally, right? But after hearing all these deep, beautiful conversations, it's just it's just so much harder to talk about my dick on stage, because because I feel like I said the nicest things I've ever said in public ever. Always wow, this guy's so insightful. And I'm like, boy, won't you hear my ideas on everything? Okay. But yes, so back to COVID, right? So COVID, thing is you don't have to say you have it to get out of what you don't want to do. All you gotta do is say you were exposed to somebody with it, and you can get out of it, right? It's hilarious. So the other day I was having sex with this girl, right? And in the middle of it, she got really upset. She was like, Mike, how come you're not staying hard? Is it me? Is it something that I'm doing? And I was like, nah, baby, it's just COVID, It's it's voting rights, it's Russia. I'm just really worried about everything going on in the world right now. So I work with kids. I do. I work with kids. I work in a middle school. I fucking hate those kids. I really do. They're so mean. They are shitty little people. They are. Some of you are looking at me like, God, this is a different person. But the thing is, you all seem like good people, right? You all came here. You probably recycle, right? You're good people, right? But In middle school, you were the ugliest you ever were in your whole life, right? On the inside and the outside, right? It was just terrible. So first day of school last year, I saw this little girl get hit in the face with a burrito, and I'm glad some of you laughed because I almost got fired for laughing and throwing the burrito. But okay, but there's this one kid every day that like he really pisses me off every day. I greet the class with, "Hey class, good morning." Normal response would be, "Good morning, Mr. Mike." But this kid every day says, "Hey, Mr. Mike, you don't have a hairline." It's just fucked up. That's why I wear a hat now. So one day I got back at him though. He was like, "Hey Mike, you don't have a hairline." And I was like, "You know what, kid? You don't have a dad." I still work there. Went to the whole class afterwards too. I was like, "Hey class, knock knock." Not that kid's father. Here we go. No, I mean, I think I'm so salty because I used to work in middle school. I used to work in elementary school. Elementary school is way more fun. Elementary school, the kids are adorable. They run up to you and hug your leg and shit, right? And you can lie to them about anything you want. It's great. All the kids used to ask me was like, "Hey, Mr. Mike, how come we put the chairs on top of the table at the end of the day?" And I was like, "Well, if you don't, global warming happens even faster. So you better listen if you want to live to see 30. Remember what Jules said about comedy being about irony and perspectives on the world? I just feel like I'm a dark person on the inside, but I'm like this like soft, cute man on the outside. But yeah, other thing too. Damn, I'm gonna get it together. Watch, hold on. Other thing too is that okay, so this is what's happening in my life right now. I work for SFUSD, and they didn't pay me this week, right? They forgot to pay me. They messed up something in the system. That's fucked up, right? But the only thing that really keeps me going is comedy. So no matter how many times I stumble tonight, know that I'm going to continue this set, all right? So just to preface it with that. But basically, something that I really like to do in general, though, whenever I substitute teach, like for February, I love to go into elementary schools and just make up my own Black history facts. It's a lot of fun. I literally used to walk in the classrooms with, back in the day, we used to beat the shit out of white people. Which is why they're so mean to us now. It's great. It's really great. But there's one Black history fact I've always wondered about, though. Like, who was the first Black person to reclaim the word nigga? We don't know. Think about it. A long time ago, one Black person was like, "Hey, white man, this is our word now, and now you can't say it anymore." But we don't know who it was. What if it was Martin Luther King? Made his speeches way more entertaining, right? Just, "Me and my niggas are gonna climb that mountaintop. Oh, I wish a nigga would fuck with me." Okay. What if it was Rosa Parks? Like, "Nah, nigga, this my bus. It's my bus right here." I love saying nigga jokes in a room full of not mostly Black people. Just looking directly at you, one person over there. I'm gonna keep going though. Nigga is it's a personal word for Black people. Obviously, like for me, anybody with Black dad, I've been called nigga. I thought nigga was my name until I was 7. Okay, just because my dad called me it so much. Black dads like to use this phrase called "nigga what" a lot, which could be used in any scenario really. So it's like, if I'm like, "Hey dad, I got a white girl pregnant," he'd be like, "Nigga what?" But if I'm like, "Hey dad, I had sex with one of my professors," he'd be like, "Nigga what?" Right? It's nigga what? But I don't know. people like to say that your kids are going to come out just like you in some sense, but the way the world's going right now, I don't know if I really want to bring a kid into the world, honestly. I really don't have kids, I promise. But I've been thinking about adopting, though. Seriously. I've been really thinking about, like, adopting a little white kid to have him infiltrate the Republican Party. I think it'll work. Seriously. If I name something like super white, like Tanner, right? Like Tanner McConnell or something strange like that. Could work. There would be that one day in his life, though, where he's like, Dad, how come I'm not black like you? And I'll be like, well, Tanner, it's because you were sent here from the future to stop conservatives from ending the world. He'd be like, wow, who sent me, Dad? I'd be like, Childish Gambino. Because he has powers. He'll be like, well, will I ever be black like you, Dad? I'll be like, well, Tanner, no. But once you stop the KKK, the NRA, and Fox News, you'll be the realest nigga of all time. Of all time. So, in America, too, right? Like, they want us to only vote either liberal or conservative, right? And it's just like, I know we're all different. I know most of us here probably don't even believe in that shit anyway. But it made me think to myself, the only way I think liberals and conservatives can ever come together is during the apocalypse. I honestly think, like, you know, if we were going through a zombie apocalypse, who would you rather be around, a liberal or a conservative? Think about it, though. Think about it, okay? Because in a zombie apocalypse, think about who has guns and a bunker. It's fucking conservatives, right? Also, I don't want to be around a liberal during a zombie apocalypse because I don't want to be around someone having a panic attack right next to me, you know, or like with empathy. Like, okay, in the apocalypse, I don't need empathy, okay? I need ignorance. That is a conservative thing. Make some noise if you've ever had anxiety in your life. Fucking liberals, that's what you are. That's why you have it. Anxiety is exclusively a liberal thing. It is. You've never heard anybody on Fox News like, oh, I'm anxious about the election. No, they're not, because they pay for it, okay? There's no possible way. Listen, conservatives create anxiety. Liberals go through that shit. That's how it goes. But there is one thing, though, not even one, there's multiple things we will never agree on. But one thing, though, right now that is also bothering me is abortion. Like, I don't know why we're still talking about abortion laws in 2022. Isn't it fucking weird? Just a little bit? Yeah, okay. The reason why I say that is because I think the argument that men make about abortion just doesn't make any sense. Because men try to make women feel morally wrong for wanting an abortion. Morals from men. Doesn't make any sense, right? Right? Because if the roles were switched for some reason, like imagine if we lived in a world where men got pregnant, right? Imagine if we lived in a world where men got pregnant and every time a guy jacked off, like a baby would come out. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. Every time a guy did like this, a baby would come out and die. Now morally, do you think guys would stop jacking off? Fuck no. Yo, there would be dead babies everywhere. BART stations. The bathroom here. The middle school I work at. I think laundromats would be the worst, though, personally, because I'm just thinking, because, you know, we jack off in our socks. Blink if you agree. So I'm just imagining a bunch of wash machines all lined up in a row, just dead babies' heads just tumbling. Okay. Seems like I'll make it lighter for the next one. It's okay. I'll make it lighter. Let's talk about 9/11. So on 9/11, I was in the first grade, and in the first grade, there's this kid named Tyree who used to shit in the urinal all the time, and get away with it. Like you're the shit if you can shit in the urinal and get away with it, right? And so I was very jealous of this kid. So on 9/11, I was like, I want to try because all my teachers were all crying and distracted and shit, right? So I was like, now it's my chance to shit in the urinal. And I go do it. I go take care of business. And the next day on 9/12, all teachers were like, hey, who did this? Who pooped in the urinal? And I just blamed Tyree. I blamed the same kid who did it the last 7 times. And what I didn't know, that this was Tyree's last straw. And so he got expelled afterwards. I know it's fucked up. But by comparison, it's not the worst thing that happened on 9/11. All right. Weird transition. My grandma has dementia. I'm going to end with this. Don't worry. My grandma has dementia, and I've been visiting her in a retirement home, and it's been interesting for sure. Like, she's the cutest old lady. It's where I get my humor from, to be honest. And, like, her dementia, like, she farts and then forgets that she farted, and then she'll, like, get mad at me. She's like, nigga, did you fart? I'm like, no, what? No, you just farted. How did you not remember that? And it's crazy. It's crazy. My grandma in a retirement home, she's the only old person who can, like, still, like, stand up and walk around, and it scares the shit out of everybody else. Like, she, like, cut this lady in line to get oatmeal, right? Because she was like, there's only one left, Mike. I'm like, Grandma, raise up on these niggas one time. Just stand up. Walk over there and take that oatmeal. But the thing I'm a little worried about, though, I don't want my grandma to get kicked out of this retirement home because she keeps getting into fights right now. Like, hey, anywhere you're forced to be, fights happen. Just letting you know. Let's be real with ourselves. But she gets into fights, but she has dementia, so she always gets away with it, which blows my fucking mind. Like, she gets into fights and then doesn't remember them, and then she doesn't get in trouble for it. I'm like, Grandma, like, how did you pull that off? Because my grandma's this old black lady from the South who gets away with beating up people. My grandma's a black lady from the South that pulled off being a white man in America. Good night, everybody.
So give it up for Mike Evans Jr. And also thank you to everyone who's here, especially Issa and Dante and Jules. And that's it. So everybody, I think you all are sitting on a piece of paper. That's a very important piece of paper. It's the SF Urban Film Fest survey. Please fill it out. And also I want to thank all the volunteers that worked at the festival tonight. I want to thank Julie Doherty, Chris Cummings, Austin Blackwell, Bobby Liu, Anna Budnick, Omar Mazri. I want to thank the SF Urban Film Fest core team, Crystal Chelik, Omid Manicherry, Susie Smith, Ron Sundstrom, and Robin Abad. So tomorrow night we are going strong. We're going to be at YBCA. Tomorrow night's event is called Culture Aid, and it's from 5 to 7 p.m., and there'll be performances, and there'll be a fun, really nerdy, interactive exercise, and you'll really get to know about urban planning. But I'm really thinking about making this called the SF Urban Comedy Fest. But not me. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Follow us on social media. Have a good night.